In this special limited series, I'm taking you behind the curtain of the 2025 Bendigo Business Excellence Awards. Join me as I spotlight the winners of each category and discover what makes them truly exceptional.
Noble Bootleggers Distillery Company.
Kristen Lemu is the co-owner of Noble Bootleggers Distilling Co and the winner of the Gastronomy Award. Kristen, thanks so much for joining me in the studio. It's a real honour to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So please tell me, Noble Bootleggers Distillery Co,
Yep.
What is it?
Well, it's a distillery that's based here in Bendigo,
Yeah.
or Longley specifically, and we've been going for the better half of 10 years.
Nice.
Not all in Bendigo. We sort of started our distilling journey back in Melbourne, and we used to own a cocktail bar and restaurant called the Noble Experiment. So that's sort of where everything sort of stemmed from. It was high theatre cocktails and just really fun experiences for guests, and it kind of extended from there. And people had sort of said, well, how can we enjoy the things that you're doing outside of your bar? And we hadn't thought any further than that, and that's kind of what triggered us to start exploring and distilling properly and doing all that sort of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you make the move to Bendigo?
Well, we had been sort of talking about it back to 2017, 2018, and once we sold our bar, we were actually able to start properly looking rather than just sort of
Dreaming
about it. And it took a little while to sort of figure out where was going to be the most appropriate. We chose Bendigo because it just had a really lovely feel. Has a very strong sort of brewing community up here, and because Dan's sort of passion is making whiskey, he felt that it would be a really great way of being able to work with local brewers so that we could sort of have little sort of partnerships going on, that kind of thing. So
love it.
yeah.
And so how long has it been since you've had your own, sellable products apart from the bar?
Well, the first sort of label on selling to customers was 2017.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've got a few years on the board now.
Yeah.
What's the journey been like of growing a distilling business?
Well, I'm not going to lie. It's certainly not a glamorous one. It's been very hard. Dan and I are very, very much very creative people. So we're always sort of, doing and experimenting and trialing things and bringing things out and putting handwritten labels on them when they're not necessarily ready, because we sort of feed off people's feedback and it aids our creative process. So it's
cool.
it's I've only really just started being full-time in the business as of, well, pretty much 2025.
Yeah.
So I put my hand up, thrust it up in the air to be given a redundancy package, and that money is now run out. So the life rafts have been cut, and they're sort of I'm sort of like waving at them like really nervous, going, oh God, but it's the only way to really push forward. So yeah.
Wow. And you've got some digs up the road on Mitchell Street here in Bendigo.
Yes.
Moved in there, when was it, a few months ago?
Well, the Alcohol by Victoria opened its doors very early December 2024. We had ambitions of it being open a lot earlier than that, but we were kind of restrained by liquor licensing approvals and things like that, which took a lot longer than it probably should have. But, opened that very late last year.
And how does that fit into the Noble Bootleggers ecosystem?
So for us, because we're sort of we're in the process of building a larger shed on our site, but our shed where we distill out of is 6 by 12 metre shed, and we've pushed it to beyond what it should be capable of, and it's just not fit for people to come and visit. And people keep asking, where's your cellar door? And we don't have one, and we knew that was sort of a bit of an issue for us. So we had decided that we were going to open a little bottle shop, but I didn't want it to just be our products because it becomes just a bit of a bucket list thing for people, and then they come once or they come occasionally, and that's that. So we have quite a diverse cross-section of, I guess, distilling friends in the community. And in Victoria, there's about almost 200 distilleries across Victoria.
Wow.
And a lot of them are very small mum and dad operations, and they just don't get an opportunity to be celebrated in the way that they should be. So we decided to create a Victorian-centric bottle shop that supports very small producers, nice tight selection of Bendigo region wines, and just really championing what they're doing and educating people on all of the great things that are made here in Victoria. So we get to showcase our full range, but it doesn't matter whether my stuff sells or somebody else's stuff sells, we can all win in that situation.
Yeah, big time. So tell me, you mentioned it a couple of times that there's quite a breadth of distilleries and brewers around. How important is and how connected is the community, and how important has that existence of a brewing community been to your journey?
Well, for us, it's about sort of collaboration and sharing ideas, and sometimes those sort of random chats don't necessarily eventuate into anything, but it's more just knowing that you've got somebody to sort of talk to about, particular distilling or brewing or whatever problem that you might have that guaranteed someone else has experienced that before. So it's about sharing knowledge and that sort of stuff. So that's important for us. Dan and I are also board members of Spirits Victoria Association, which is the Victorian Industry Association for Distilling.
Yeah. So
for us, it's about just making sure that there's a voice for the very sort of small industry that it is, but it's it's growing. So yeah.
That's great. Tell me, you're obviously very passionate about distilling, and what made you and Dan decide to jump in and to start the business in the first place?
Well, I guess when we first started, we had our cocktail bar, and we were doing bottled cocktails at the venue. And initially, it was more of we were doing it sort of like a Alice in Wonderland theme type of thing, and it was like a little bottle and you pour it into your glass, and it was very high theatre, hands-on type of thing to create memorable moments for people. But it was also about speed of service, because there were certain cocktails that we would sell a great deal of, and having them ready-made and ready for the customer to assemble was really important. So that's sort of how we started. And we then sort of went about applying for excise manufacturing license, and that's a story in itself that I probably won't take up more than 25 minutes of your time. But in essence, it highlighted to the ATO at the time that we had been illegally manufacturing alcohol, not because we were selling it online or anything like that. It was purely just a point of difference for our customers.
Yeah.
And that was just making cocktails. That wasn't actually turning a still on or doing anything like that.
Really?
Like we had, it was insane.
Wow, I can imagine there is quite a story
so
there.
many heart attacks and, grovelly emails and things like that later. We were able to sort of come out through that.
Wow.
And when we were making the cocktails, initially we were using other people's products, and it was just more looking at how we could create efficiencies in what we were doing and sort of not paying excise twice, essentially.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to make your own stuff.
Yeah.
So we set about learning about how to make gin, and there had been a person that was wanting to be a part of the business, and they more or less said, "You don't know the first thing about making gin, you can't make gin." And I'm just like, F you, I'm going to figure out how to make gin. So it's always been at certain crossroads where people have said that we can't do it or we don't know what we're doing, where it sort of lights a fire under us, and we were like, well, we're going to figure out how to do it. Yeah, watch me. So that's pretty much everything that we do is through learning by doing, if there's a problem, rather than throwing your hands up in the air and going, well, that was a disaster, trying to understand why it happened and just sort of delving deeper into that kind of stuff too. So, yeah.
So tell me about the product range that you've got on offer.
So we've obviously got our ready-to-serve cocktails, which was in essence the bread and butter of the business from the very first days. We do a very small batch release whiskey. There's quite a diverse selection of gins and very sort of assorted flavours. And we're just about to release some vodkas as well, and amaro, which is a bitter herbal Italian style liqueur. So think like Campari, Aperol, that kind of thing. That's sort of, given our cocktail bartending roots, that's what gives us the most joy.
Love that. What are some of the different complexities and challenges in making quite a wide range of spirits?
Knowing when to stop. That's that's always a discussion of, at what point do you sort of go, okay, what needs to be retired, what, because Dan and I are very creative, we sort of just do what gives us joy, really. And I think that at the moment we've sort of pushed our current accommodations to beyond its capabilities, and we need to sort of just stop and just go, okay, let's reassess for a minute what we're making and what we're not. But it's more about having just interesting products for people to create experiences at home, or whether they're working with it in a bar situation or whatever it might be. So, yeah, there'll come a point where we'll probably start trimming, but I don't know if we're quite there yet.
Love it. I'm a big whiskey fan, so I can't wait to walk up the road and see if I can get my hands on some of that. The alcohol industry in general has taken a bit of a hit in terms of, the consumer spending that is lumped into nearly every business, right? Is lumped into that challenge.
Yeah.
But alcohol in general, what are you seeing in terms of the industry and how it's shifting and changing, and how are you adapting to that?
Well, I guess it depends on the type of situation or location that you find yourself within. Consumer spending is down, but for Dan and myself, when we set about creating Noble Bootleggers Distilling Co from the ground up, we had already experienced what it was like to have your own business, and owning a bar and restaurant is not cheap.
Or easy.
It's akin to basically, digging a hole, throwing a whole heap of money in, setting it on fire. You warm your hands by the fire and you go, gee, this is a really nice fire. I'm really, look at this great fire that I've built. But then there might be some money left over at the other end. Plus, it also is unforgiving in terms of the amount of hours that you have to do. And if someone's sick, you've got to cover them, and just all those things. And it got to a point for us that my mum got cancer, and my Dan's father had cancer as well, but he unfortunately passed away. My mum's still very much with us. She's a tough old bird. But it made us reassess what we were doing. Like, yes, we had a very successful business, but that came at a cost. It was a personal cost to us. So we decided that if we were going to start this new business, which we started when I was heavily pregnant, and I thought I could do it all, shaking tins, baby under the arm, and then I soon realised I couldn't do that, that we needed to plan for the worst day, not assume that every day was going to be perfect. So we created the business to have virtually no overheads so that we could weather any storm. Yep.
Hey, that's clever. I wish I had virtually no overheads. That's good. I like the sound of that. But it sounds like you've really you've understood what the challenges are in running a business, and have designed this newer endeavour.
Yeah. Well, we've sort of increased our overheads a little bit because of the bottle shop, but it's something that we're always sort of very mindful of, staying small, staying nimble.
Yep.
I am doing a PhD focusing on sustainable regional development as well, because
Wow.
I have so much time to do all of these
Yeah,
things.
just in your spare time.
Yeah.
How about you?
So for us, it's about creating a business that is regenerative and circular, and being able to give back and collaborate, whether that be through working with hospitality community, championing other businesses like ourselves, which people generally don't do because it's very highly competitive arena. So to do the opposite of what people expect, sort of, keep.
Oh, speaking my
Yeah.
language
Yeah.
now, I love that approach. It comes from an awareness that you're not the only genius in a room, and that everyone has something special and
Exactly.
unique,
Yeah.
and that you don't have to tear someone else down
No.
to win yourself, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, love it. So cool. Tell me about the sustainability kind of lens and angle you would approach in a distilling business. How can you inject that kind of idea of a circular economy or processes in a distilling business?
Well, I mean, the distilling industry historically has not been a very sustainable one, and that is starting to evolve if you sort of look overseas, especially in Scotland and places like that. But from an Australian perspective, it's still very much in its infancy in terms of what people are doing. For us, it's about, because we have the advantage of having a little farm. It's 23 acres of heaven, or nightmare, depending on what day you talk to me. We try very hard to ensure that nothing leaves the farm, essentially. And the mantra that there's no waste in nature. So waste from one process becomes food for something else. So we're always thinking about how we can sort of make use of things. And that started prior to us moving to Bendigo, where I was initially using the botanicals from a gin run and dehydrating them, and then blitzing it into an exfoliant and making soaps and things like that. I don't necessarily have the time to do that anymore. And the scale of what we're doing now is a lot larger. But for us, it's about soil restoration and working with other businesses, cafes and things like that, and taking their spent sort of like food waste that's been dehydrated, and then using that as a medium to create compost and worm farms, and just leave the farm, when I finally drop off the perch, which hopefully is not for a very long time, but leave the farm in better state than when we received it.
Yeah, tell you what, once you get into composting, like, organic matter becomes gold for you. Just like, no, I need more wet stuff. Where's my organic matter?
Yeah.
That's so good.
And there's only so much that we produce at any one time, so we then look to others as well. So earlier today, Dan went to get some sawdust from someone that makes furniture.
Oh, wow.
And we've gotten the sawdust, and we get coffee husks from the roasteries around here.
Hey.
We get there's a coffee producer down in Melbourne, and they will bring up their sort of spent coffee, which happens every few months. So it's all, creates a really interesting medium of compostable sort of material that we then transform into topsoil. So we're playing the long game, but we learn by doing. And what if we try this? And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work, and then we chalk that one up to experience. Don't do that part again. But well, by no means are we perfect, but we just having a go.
Oh, I love it. Very cool. We're running out of time on this episode to talk about the Business Excellence Awards. I'm just getting too fascinated by your business, Kristen. Okay, so tell me about the moment when you the nomination for the awards. That's the first step, right?
Yes.
You either nominate or get nominated.
Yep.
what was that like?
Oh, it was a bit of a surreal experience. It was an email that came through and said that you'd been nominated, and it was for Noble Bootleggers and for Alcohol by Victoria, 2 separate emails. And I
Wow.
was like, who did this? And then I sent an email to my social media person, Izzy, and I was like, was this you? And she's like, ... maybe. It's just
Great.
like, okay. So I set about sort of looking at what was required, and initially I thought it was just a one-pager because, I clearly I have lots of things on the go at one time,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
just have a quick glance and go, oh yeah, I can do that. And then soon discovered when I hit the next button that there
And
was
there's
a
just
lot
the
more.
next keeps going.
Yeah, exactly. And by the time I got to the end of it for Noble, I was just like, I don't have it in me to do ABV as well. However, I had mentioned Alcohol by Victoria quite a lot through, because it's the one ecosystem. So
Yep.
for me, it was like this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I got to the end of it, and I'm like, well, if we don't get any further, at least I've solidified my brand story. I know exactly what we do.
Yes, totally.
I've adjusted the copy on the website because I've rephrased it better.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it. And I didn't sort of think any more of it. And then we were nominated as a finalist, and I was like, oh, okay.
That's so good. Tell me about the category that you were applied in and then it ended up winning.
So we're in the gastronomy field, and gastronomy within the Bendigo region is quite a diverse category, from restaurateurs to distilleries like myself. You've got brewing operations, you've got honey producers, Bendigo Brittle, all, diverse snapshot of businesses. So I would have hated to have been the judge on that panel, because
And we're a
everyone's
city
so
of gastronomy,
Yes,
right? So
yeah.
it's like there's, it's not like there's hardly anything going on.
No, it's already it's already sort of like I've just wandered in and I'm here. It was already happening before I got here.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just throw my hat in the ring, not knowing whether it was exactly the direction that they were sort of thinking, but we contribute to the city of gastronomy by being, I think, more of a support to some of the hospitality businesses within the region. We also like to do events and sort of help scratch that itch for me of like feeling like I still have a bar, but then giving it back to somebody at the end of the day, which is really good.
That's cool.
So that's sort of where we sort of, I guess, fit within the ecosystem of gastronomy.
So good. And I love good food, good wine, good spirits. There's something about it that it just feels so quintessentially human, right? And to have that paired with, going out to a great restaurant and having that service and experience, it's just like there's not many experiences like that where you're able to be welcomed, to be served, and then to have what you're eating, if you're going to the right places, be of such a high quality and drinking such a high quality. And to know that some of these places like yourself is made locally, it adds a whole nother layer onto that experience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty special. And kudos to you for contributing, not just being part of the gastronomic industry.
Yeah.
If that's a word.
Well, we're making it a word.
Yeah, we're making a word now. But to actually contribute to the strength and the to other parts of the industry. So yeah, really well done.
Thank you.
Tell me, what was it like when they announced your name on the night?
Oh, well, we were seriously underprepared. Let's just put it that way. It was because we'd never been before. We didn't know that it was like the night of nights. And a friend of mine had said, "Oh, it's like the Bendigo Logies." I'm like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, but like she was legitimate. Like I should have listened to what she was saying. So we arrived and Izzy, our social media person, was there, and she goes, "So have you written a speech?" I'm like, "Why do we need to write a speech? Like, what do you mean a speech?" She's like, "You should write a speech." And then I started to panic, going, what? Because we didn't think that we were going to win, so we were just we went, we'll just have a nice dinner, and that'll be us. We're dressed up, and I put some makeup on, and it's all good. And it wasn't until we got announced for the sustainability award, which I didn't realise that we'd been nominated for, that Dan started to panic, because he was just like, "Oh my God, like what if we win that?" And unfortunately, we didn't win that, because he was just like having a panic attack, going, "What am I going to say? We make soil. We make soil. Like, this is not sexy." And then it came up, and I'm like, I was like, "Oh," I'm like, you couldn't. I don't know. You couldn't pick who was going to win, because everybody was just, they're all awesome in their own right. So, and then they said our name, and it was like, it was the only time, because Dan is, can talk underwater most days.
Yes.
And it was the first time that he was actually speechless, and it was brilliant just for that, watching him sort of like look out at like 750 people in a room and go,
And I'm standing here with a microphone, and everyone's waiting for me to say something.
Which he did. He did
did,
all right, but
yeah.
it was very overwhelming.
Yes.
Hence why we should have had a speech. But lesson learned.
I'm
No for next
glad
time.
I wasn't the only one who didn't have something prepared. Oh no, it was a wonderful night though, and I honestly I need to get you back in for like a full episode, because there's like some serious stories to be told here, and some great insights into a really great local industry. What are some tips that you would give to, say, another hospitality or gastronomy business that's looking at this award next year? What tips would you give them in order to help improve their chances?
Well, I guess it's just about answering the questions that are provided from the heart. You know, you've decided to commit to owning your own business, which people who decide to do that just deserve a medal anyway, because it's really hard. But you know, that particular business is what gets you up out of bed in the morning, like whether you're going to get paid or not, whether, you know, people that you work with, whether they're going to pay you on time or not, you still get up and you do what you do because it gives you joy. So as long as you're answering those questions by, you know, from the heart, and saying this is why I do what I do, you know, I mean, everybody is very deserving candidates. So it's I don't really have any sort of magic answers to
That was
give. I
good.
just answered honestly and said, this is what we do. And you sort of look back and you're like, wow, we actually do a lot of things, but you just don't realize it at the time, just because you're just going through the motions. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, wow. I love it. It's felt like the blink of an eye talking to Kristen. It's really wonderful to get an insight into a business that I've never met you before,
Yep.
and this is just really wonderful. So thanks for spending the time with me.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode as part of the limited series Team Up with Bendigo and Hebron Films, featuring the winners of the 2025 Business Excellence Awards. There are 13 episodes in total in this mini-series, so if you're at all curious about the other award recipients, then head over and check them out. We also have a new episode of Remarkable Regional Business dropping every fortnight, so please follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And finally, if you know someone who has or runs a great regionally based business and has a remarkable story to tell, then I would love to get them into the studio and tell it. You can dob them in at hebronfilms.com/podcast.